You have to see it to believe it.
I opened the door and proceeded to get in. And all I knew, I was on the ground.
Camera 3 done.
$1 Million Baby. This man was once homeless. Now he's on the brink of becoming a $1 million champ. Meet the man and hear his amazing story live. That and more right here, right now on CNN.
Somebody jump and take Jim.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Don Lemon. Until just a few minutes ago, we had only heard of him as one of 2 U.S. servicemen killed this weekend in Afghanistan. But now it has become all too real as we learn his name and we see his face. He is Lieutenant Colonel John Loftus, a 44-year-old Air Force officer from Paducah, Kentucky. Colonel Loftus died at a Kabul ministry on Saturday, along with another U.S. officer who has yet to be identified. Loftus, like you and me, has a family, a mother who is mourning tonight. We'll hear from the mother in this broadcast in just a few minutes. Colonel John Loftus died because of this. Protests raging in Afghanistan over the improper disposal of the burning of the Quran at a NATO base. Nearly a week after the story first broke, the unrest that took Colonel Loftus' life and that of his colleague is far from over. This was northern Kunduz province today, a demonstration that turned violent. The mob attacked a U.S. base with grenades and guns, injuring 7 American troops. The Taliban is exploiting the controversy to call for attacks on foreign soldiers. The longer this goes on, the longer our men and women in uniform are at risk. And for more on this, we're joined now by Paula Broadwell. She spent more than 15 years in the military working in geopolitical analysis and counterterrorism. And much of the past year in Afghanistan as an embedded author writing the book All In, The Education of General David Petraeus. Paula, thank you for joining us tonight. You know, this is our entire situation has put a bullseye on the backs of all of our men and women in uniform in Afghanistan.
Well, I think that's taking it a little bit too far. There isn't a bullseye on the back of every one of our servicemen and women over there. In fact, I think a lot of this dialogue is overlooking the very strong relationships that many units have with their partner Afghan units, and in the ministries where this happened. In fact, some of these soldiers, and they're typically called Afghan hands, have great rapport and respect with Afghans. So I think we can't go too far and say that there's a target on everyone's back, but we also have to be prudent and careful.
If there's indiscriminate firing and indiscriminate killing, I think that any one of our men and women in uniform could end up, sadly, the way that Colonel Loftus ended up. So I don't think it's far-reaching to say that.
No, but it's important to take prudent steps to prevent it. You're right, and I think that's the larger point here, and that's why General Allen has wisely, I think, pulled some of the, or all of our troops out of the ministries, and Ambassador Crocker has done the same. I think that they're taking an evaluation period to see how things sort of pan out, but they intend to put those forces back in there because it's really vital to have those lines of communication with the key ministries. Yeah. And I think our troops believe that, but they understand they're at risk. This is a war. They're at risk, you know, just traveling from one base to another within Kabul. They fully recognize that, but more prudent measures are in place now.
Paul, I want to talk more with you, so I want you to stand by because some are comparing this incident to Abu Ghraib, the infamous prison in Iraq, where mistreatment of prisoners enraged Iraqis and spurred the insurgency. So later we're going to ask Paula Broadwell whether the comparison is fair. And I told you at the top of this newscast that we're going to hear from that colonel's mother. Here she is tonight in her own words about her son.
His birthday was last Wednesday. Called me so I could wish him a happy birthday because it was hard for me to reach him, and we had about a 45-minute conversation, very good, very upbeat. He was very much committed to what he was doing in Afghanistan. He felt that the way to help the people there was to become their friends, and he trusted them. He was a very, very good father. He did the bedtime stories. He did the puppet shows for them, very close to his children. I guess the best way to sum it up is he lived more in 44 years than most of us will live in 80. He lived life to the fullest.
Christiane, the mother of John Loftus, who lost his life, one of 2 service members in Afghanistan this weekend. I have some new information to tell you about. CNN is just getting some information about the GOP presidential candidates. We're hearing tonight that Rick Santorum will get Secret Service protection this week, and Newt Gingrich has also asked for it. Mitt Romney already has it. Our political team working on this story, and we're going to have more for you in about 10 minutes right here on CNN. When this is happening in Syria, it is hard to imagine anyone doing anything but hiding in their homes. And believe it or not, Syrians went to the polls today to vote on a referendum to change their constitution. According to activists, though, 55 people were killed today across the country, including 25 in the city of Homs. The International Red Cross still trying to work out a ceasefire so they can get some humanitarian aid into Homs. Those talks have gone nowhere. And sadly, though, the consensus is that the vote that people risked their lives and some lost their lives for probably won't change the balance of power in Syria. And the police motorcade, that one that you're looking at right there, is former South African President Nelson Mandela being escorted home today from the hospital. Mandela was discharged after a short stay that included minor surgery for a stomach ailment. Members of the government say doctors assure them the 93-year-old anti-apartheid icon is in good health. Mandela was last seen in public in 2010. He also spent some time in the hospital last year for an acute respiratory infection. The Catholic Church sex abuse scandal just got a whole lot worse for the Catholic Church, that is. Something just uncovered could be a smoking gun, potential proof that a major cleric knew about dozens of priests suspected of preying on young boys and ordered the evidence destroyed. And as our Susan Candiotti reports to us tonight, all this has been kept secret for 18 years.
A newly discovered memo stamped confidential and labeled secret archives is stunning. Now part of court documents, it suggests Philadelphia's Roman Catholic Cardinal Anthony Bevilacqua wanted to destroy possible evidence of 35 priests sexually abusing children. On the memo is a note, handwritten by a bishop, implicating his boss, the cardinal. I shredded 4 copies of these lists from the secret archives. This action was taken on the basis of a directive I received from Cardinal Bevilacqua at the directives meeting of 3/15/94.
If this claim proves to be true, it's a shocking indictment of one of the highest-ranking people in the Roman Catholic Church in the United States.
Court documents show one of those files was secretly kept in a safe, put there by a bishop who was supposed to shred the papers. The file was discovered after the bishop died. Cardinal Bevilacqua died last month.
For the first time, the hierarchy of the Roman Catholic Church is possibly being implicated in this child abuse scandal in a very, very definitive way.
The explosive files are part of a defense motion in the trial of Monsignor William Flynn, believed to be the first high-ranking Catholic priest charged with knowing about alleged child abuse and not doing anything about it. Based on the newly surfaced memo, his lawyer wants the charges dropped, claiming it proves Monsignor Flynn told his superiors about the sex abuse, but they did nothing about it.
Defense attorneys are saying, we want the whole story told to the jury so that they can see the context in which Monsignor Lynn did what he did, because it might suggest that he, in fact, was an innocent dupe of the cardinal.
Court documents state the chief counsel for the Philadelphia Archdiocese found the file in 2006, but somehow it was only recently turned over to prosecutors trying sex abuse allegations. Neither prosecutors, defense attorneys, nor the Archdiocese will comment on the case because of a court-imposed gag order. Jury selection is now underway. Susan Candiotti, CNN, New York.
All right, Susan, thank you very much. Coming up next, we head to Michigan, the place for Tuesday's GOP primary, Mitt Romney's native state. So why is he having such a hard time pulling into the lead? Live report from Detroit next. And why is this 86-year-old man crawling? Wait until you hear what happened to him and who he is. Straight ahead.
We want to protect the house.
Right.
But
home security systems can be really expensive. So to save money, we actually just adopted a rescue panther.